Hey there, I have a store review video, comic book data analysis video, and an announcement that I'm dropping Go Collect. So lots of stuff to cover. Let's get to it. All right, I have been going through some of my organizational tools and methods and putting out some videos around some updates and everything for some of my comic book acquisition analysis. But what I realized is after doing that, I was talking a lot about buying books and adding books and finding books. And, we only have so much room and so much money to acquire these. We definitely want to take a look at what we have, go through those purchases, and appreciate what we have in our collection and appreciate the time and everything that we're spending into investing in the hobby. What I wanted to do was break down one of the sources that I use to buy books, and that's Atomic Avenue. It's a comic book marketplace, so it's filled with a number of sellers, similar to eBay, except eBay's an auction house. And what I've been doing is I've been collectively putting all of the sellers under this same heading, in the same bucket, in the same categories, and obviously every seller is different. And so as I was going through and figuring out, like, do I want to buy these books at a good price from a particular seller on Atomic Avenue, I realized that I don't really know if that seller's near mint books are actually truly near mint because I'm tracking everything, all sellers across all of Atomic Avenue. With Mile High, it's different. It's one source, so you can kind of build up some information and and forecast appropriately. But if you're not tracking, like I was, the individual sellers on a marketplace, even eBay, right? If you're buying from the same eBay seller, you can kind of get accustomed for kind of the quality, how do they ship, and so on. So in this video, I'm going to break down my updated method for tracking shipments, orders from Atomic Avenue by seller. I'm going to go through some of the ways that I'm using my acquisition and value analyzer to kind of show you book by book whether or not I got good value from the purchase, and look at the grades that I assigned the books to say, okay, is this seller on Atomic Avenue really sending me near mint books, or are they really more like fine, very fine, even if they're listed as near mint? And then lastly, through the process of cataloging these, you'll notice I'm skipping entering these books into Go Collect. I decided to officially cancel my subscription to Go Collect. I'm no longer going to input any data, any of my own personal collection data into Go Collect. I've talked about this in videos and ranted a bit on Twitter about this, but I'm really done with them. My subscription runs out in June of 2022, and I'm not going to renew. I am still looking at values of slabbed books with Go Collect, and I figure 6 months from now, maybe if they get their act together, I'll consider resubscribing. But I'm not going to waste any more time entering my personal collection into Go Collect. I'm very happy using Cover Price and my Google Sheets to track my collection, my inventory. So you'll see that too, that I'm cutting that out of the process. So let's get to it. I have one order to go through, and it's a mix of Fantastic Four and X-Men. And we'll kind of go through, and I've gone through the process of grading and screening these already, so you're going to see kind of the final product. So hopefully that'll speed up the process a little bit for you. I've got lots of videos on how I grade books, and I'll surely do more of those in the future. But because I've got a lot to cover in this video, I wanted to skip that process and just kind of show you the books, show you the grades they got, show you how I input the order details into my spreadsheets, and how I make use of this value data to determine whether or not I spent my money wisely. All right, so let's take a look at this order from Atomic Avenue and their seller, Silver Dollar Comics. All right, so this is the order that has been data entered into my comic book collection ledger. It details all of my purchases from early 2020, I believe, maybe late 2019 to date. And I decided to go ahead and show you what I paid for these books too, because I think this is important. So again, I probably should lie and just say I got all of these in dollar bins, but you guys can look up prices online and see what these books are going for, and you can certainly look up on Atomic Avenue, Mile High, Midtown, any of the big stores or marketplaces, eBay. You see what books are going for. So in full transparency and disclosure, this is a full breakdown of this order. So it was a $107.02 order from the Atomic Avenue seller, Silver Dollar Comics. Silver Dollar Comics is located in the UK. What is awesome is that he offers free shipping if you're for domestic and international orders. If you're above a certain amount, you'll have to check out his order details. I forget if it's $75 or $100 or what the minimum order is, but that's another way I save money. Is I really kind of save up and figure out, is there a number of books that I want to purchase, make sure I get above the free shipping. There's no tax, there's no insurance, and that really saves you money when you compare to ordering, like pre-ordering from things from another world. When I do a pretty substantial pre-order, I end up paying $50 or $60 just in tax and shipping, which then just eats into the cost savings per book. So this is kind of a nice thing. Make sure you get your free shipping. A lot of the sellers on Atomic Avenue do this. Mile High does this. So the sources that I'm using for my analysis, I don't have to factor in too much for shipping, but I do. I'll show you here in a second. I do factor in if there's any cost whatsoever, tax, insurance. I build that into the cost of the book. You have to. I don't get too crazy like the cost of bagging and boarding or what I had for lunch that day. I don't get too crazy or ridiculous with it. But this is in general the what I spent on the books. Yeah, this one you can see here I paid 52 cents. So again, I'm trying to track every detail just to know not just what's in my collection, but also what did all of this cost me, and am I actually making any money in terms of value? Do these books have immediate value as I purchase them, or am I purchasing them already in the red? So I try and look at that. So this is a breakdown of the complete order. I'll show you the books here as we go through. I'm going to catalog them in cover price one at a time. I've already graded these, so you'll see what grade I gave the books, and then you'll start to see these where it says error, no match, and so forth. They'll come in and fill in. Again, my total cost is the price of the book, and then the total cost of all the miscellaneous charges, taxes, things like that, divided by the number of books. This is a 10-book order, and let's get started. So the first thing, though, I need to do, and this is new for me, is I am separating the title, issue, and year out consistently so that I can look up the values in my value sheet. So I now have the value sheet coming across, and this is basically a clone of my actual analysis worksheet where I have all of the books listed here, and you'll see like I've got Amazing Spider-Man, I've got the issue number, and I've got the release year. And sure enough, if we scroll far enough down, here are all the Fantastic Four books that I'm tracking. And under this unique issue, this is a way that I can uniquely identify the book. In the past, I had been looking at things like volume, but really everybody handles this differently. There's no way to consistently say this is Fantastic Four volume 1, 2, 3, 7, 9, 15, whatever. The way that you can uniquely identify a book is issue number and the release year and the title. So I would have to really think about a scenario where there's a duplicate Fantastic Four 177 from 1976. Now, newsstand direct variants, I'm getting there, and I will get there. I am not tracking variants quite yet, but I have a plan. So this is basically your regular comic, your cover A, certainly from silver, bronze, and copper. You know, it's either the direct or newsstand, whatever was available at the time. And this is sort of the unique key for me that says this is the issue. So in order to do that, there's a little bit of data entry that I have to do, and I have to enter that unique title, Fantastic Four. And the nice thing is if you're ordering a lot of the same books, you can just clone these. For Uncanny X-Men, I believe that I list those as X-Men and then in parentheses Uncanny. And you know what, just to be consistent, I'm just gonna copy it right from there so that I don't fat finger that. And that's all I ordered was Fantastic Four and X-Men. These are two titles that I buy regularly back issues of, because once that whole conversion from Fox to the MCU starts to happen, I believe Fantastic Four and X-Men are just going to take off from there. Now, issue number, I do have to do some manual entry, so bear with me. I'm just going to put in all the issue numbers here. And 273, 286, 85. Oh, there we go, 185. 202, 234, 317, and 133. Now, the only part that's a little time consuming here, I do need to cross-reference the year. The year is very important. So if I go back to Fantastic Four, I have to do a quick lookup for 167. That's 1976. 268, 272. These are 1984. 286 should be 85. Nope, it's 86. And then back down to X-Men. 185, 202, 1984 and 1986. 234 is 1988. 317 is 1990. And then back up, and I'll explain X-Men 133 is 19. So a little bit of extra data entry. In future videos, I'll have all of this pre-filled out, not to waste your time, but I wanted to just show you this was a new part of my process. So if you've been watching my other videos and kind of following this process and maybe emulating it yourself, and that's awesome. I definitely appreciate that level of detail. This is new. So it's really taking what comes from the store or the marketplace in your invoice and listing it here for reference. I like that. I also put the invoice number and everything. So at this point, now I have the unique title issue year. So now if we scroll back over, it's still saying no match. And here in my formula, and I'll have to update this as I add grades, but I have a switch function that basically says, based on the grade of the book, find the corresponding column in the values worksheet and assign it the GPA CGC graded value, right? So jumping ahead a little bit, why am I backing out of Go Collect? Well, with Go Collect, what I used to do is, and I don't think I have, yeah, so here's an example of what I used to do, and you can see March 25th, 2021, down here, the name of this sheet. This is what I used to do using Go Collect data. I would export it, and I would be able to get the fair market value, and this is my grade, and these books are raw. And I would sort it by the FMV, and I would say, okay, Black Adam Endless Winter Special number 1, I believe it's a 9.8. I'm going to send it in for grading. I received that book back from CGC, I think middle of summer, late summer of this year, and sure enough, it got a 9.8. And this is how I was able to identify books that I have raw in high grade that have value if they were slabbed. I can't get this data from Go Collect anymore. They basically have made it impossible to do that. So I'm kind of recreating that process, if you will, a little bit, where I can actually see what my raw book in is at that grade. You will then add the cost to have it graded by CGC, and then figure out, based on the current market value, is it valuable? Is it worth sending in? Am I going to make money? And not necessarily make money from flipping, but is my book going to have value? Is it worth my time? Is it worth spending the money? So that's basically it. So let me flip over here and show you. Let's go ahead and start looking at the books. So this is Fantastic Four 167. This book I ordered from them, and it was listed in fine condition. And I went ahead and purchased it, and I gave it a 4.0. The reason I gave it a 4.0, if you can see there, I put stamps on back. On the back of the book, there are 3 stamps, 2 from the store, an additional store, and I did some research on stamps not too long ago, and realized that like the max grade you're going to get with a stamp, I believe, is an 8.5 or 7.5, and that's if the book's pristine. So you're already getting dinged on the stamp. So is it a 6.0 as is? No, I thought it was more like a 5 or a 5.5, and so then I dropped it down that whole grade point and a half down to 4.0. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and assign it a 4.0. All right, now this one being a 4.0, I have not updated the value here. So I have 989694 and let's go ahead and give it the 4, and I'm just going to put 37 here for a second. But it's actually pulling the wrong column. So for 167, Fantastic Four, let's go back up, 167, it's right here. And the GPA 8, so that was column 37, was pulling $34. This is 37, and this is column 45. So if we go back to the ledger and change this to column 45, it'll show 0 for now, and that's okay. And I'm just going to update the rest of the columns for now. And it's just showing blank, there's no match. So as I go through and track 4 O's and 4 5's, then this value will show up. So let's move on to the next book. And this one is Fantastic Four 268. I remember seeing this as a kid, The Mask of Doom. And I'm like, this is a total like photo cover. I was also a little afraid of it too. Never bought it. So this is my first copy. So this was listed as near mint on Atomic Avenue. And I gave this book an 8.0. Again, not going to screen all of these, but hopefully you can see down the spine there, right in there. Just too many color breaking spine ticks, honestly. A little bit of corner wear, but not in the best of shape. So I gave it an 8.0. And I'm going to reserve judgment over the whole order for when I'm done. But we'll have to plug that in, again, fairly as an 8.0. So here's 268. And again, putting my grade in as an 8.0. And I don't have a value for this quite yet either. Now, what I'm skipping here is cover price. So let me make sure I am adding these as well. So I had Fantastic Four 167. And I want to add this to my collection. And I mean, you may have noticed before and used this, but what I was doing is I was adding the comic, clicking on my collection, and then trying to find the book and then doing data entry on it. I can just hit more right here. And let's see, this was from October 18th. So I can do that additional data entry that I like to add right here with a purchase price of $6.50. And in this case, I can't really parse out the data, and I don't want to put the seller here. There's no ability to report by seller, so I just put the location as Atomic Avenue and go ahead and add the comic. So that saves a step here. Again, this is what I was doing before. I was clicking that I owned it, and then I'd have to go through and find, okay, where's 167? Here it is. Raw FMV is $14. My potential profit's $7.84. Fine. Like, that's all good. I'll look at that later. All right. I want to get these books added. So let me add one more. Fantastic Four 268. Let's do that. And I had this as an 8.0 or October 18th. I wish there was a way to not have to select these every time or have them pre-filled out or something. So I believe this one I too paid $6.50. Knowing, I mean, had I known it was an 8.0 and not a 9.4 or above, I would not have spent that much money. But again, that's part of the gamble, part of the risk. Let's cancel, try that again. There we go. All right, so hopefully it added that one time. That was weird, it got stuck there for a second. Again, I'm not gonna click into this every time. I think you get the idea here. E8, raw 8.0, FMV $4.48, so clearly I overpaid. I reached for that one. That's fine. Like I said, it was more of a chance to get that book near mint, where I didn't have it growing up as a kid, and now I do. So there's my grade. So this was the column that just said, have I entered this in Go Collect, and I have entered it in cover price. Column O doesn't really matter too much anymore, but I'll leave it there just for historical purposes. So next up is Fantastic Four 272. So this was getting into the Loki show and Kang and time travel and which version of Kang are we looking at, and 272 and 273 right behind it were books I found on Atomic Avenue. This one actually got the 9.4, and I do believe that it can be pressed up and improved. So this was a very nice copy, and I gave it 9.4. So to me, again, I'm looking for 9.8s, obviously, who isn't? But if I get a 9.4, that's perfectly fine with me. It's acceptable. And I'm going to put a 9.4 in there. Still no value yet in the analyzer. I'll get there. And so let's drop it in Go Collect. So this is Fantastic Four 272. So this is a key because it's the cameo of Nathaniel Richards, and then 273 right behind it is the first full appearance. And these books were not like terribly expensive, but they were definitely picking up some attention and value while the Loki MCU show was going on. Okay, so this book, 272, I paid $4.50, which I think is a pretty good deal, especially because I got the book in a 9.4, and there it added these multiple times, so I'll go back and clean that up later. So here's 272, FMV 894, so just about doubled my money on that one, and plus it's a 9.4. Again, I feel like that can be cleaned up and pressed and maybe get to a 9.6, so there should be some value. So that's been entered into cover price, and I'll start to pick up the speed here and maybe not talk so much about the books, but this is the first full appearance of Nathaniel Richards, right there on the cover as well. Fantastic Four 273, purchased this listed as near mint, and I gave it a 9.4. So this one looked really, really good, and then just found a little bit of some curling there that, again, can be pressed out. But as is, I feel like sending that into CGC by itself would also be a 9.4. So to me, that was a really nice score there. Get this entered into cover price. And I think before I add these books, I can see the fair market value is $14. So that was a good price to get that at $4.50. October 18th. Like I said, I'd love to be able to copy paste that purchase date. The purchase date is important to me because if I purchase it from multiple locations and at different times, then I like to see the uniqueness of the book to say, where did I get this book from? It helps me when I go to resell it or if I'm trying to upgrade it. All right, the next one, let me just add this note to Go Collect that, yes, that was data entered. The next one is Fantastic Four 286. This is a special appearance by the Uncanny X-Men tie-in with X Factor, Phoenix, Jean Grey. I'm all over it. So Fantastic Four 286, again, these are all, they were listed as near mint. And I gave this a 9.0 with, again, the ability for it to be pressed. This one just had some weirdness at the top. I don't think the book was cut necessarily, but I think it's a printing issue. I don't think that it's really, really shredded. But there were some other books, some, again, spine curling, typical things that you would see if the books are stacked. So I gave that a 9.0. So let's put this in here, and then I want to take a look at something else. So as I'm entering these here, 9.0, you'll see this at the bottom. This just changed to 7.96. So that's the overall average grade. Now, again, it's being hurt by this book being a 4.0, and I did purchase it listed as fine. So that is something that I would have to take into consideration. But I try not to buy books unless they're listed as near mint. I honestly don't remember exactly why I purchased that one in fine condition. Nevertheless, it is what it is, and I have it now. So there it is as a 9. So I don't have this in the list yet. So let me add that 9.4, and then it goes right here to an 8. So let's say a 9, and I'll just put in a placeholder for the 37th column there. And then if I go back to the values, so if we know 37 is 8, then 39 should be, and hopefully I'll just start to memorize that formula. So a 9 should be 39, 2 away from 8. So a 9.0 is 35, and there we go. So then I just want to make sure this is consistent here. Yeah. So now that it found a match, let me show you why this is valuable. So essentially, the value of this book graded in a 9.0, according to GPA, is $35. I paid 52 cents for this book. It was not a 9.4. It came back as a 9.0. I think it can be pressed and improved on, but it is what it is, 9.0. And so my total cost for the book is 52 cents. And then my total profit, if I wanted to slab this book, would be $8. $8.12 to be exact. And so, in theory, that was a good purchase. The total margin is not fantastic, but the percentage is pretty good, and that's probably something I'll add here. Is what is the profit margin percentage? What is the gain percentage-wise? Because I'm sure that's pretty good for a 52-cent investment to make $8. That's not bad. And remember, too, when I'm talking about total cost and I'm determining the profit or loss, you'll see here in the formula, I have CGC analysis M2. That is one of these sheets, CGC analysis, where M2 right here, this is where I determine what is the cost for, and I typically send in around 10 books. This is what it costs me to grade each book based on my CGC subscription at $26.37. So that's what I use to determine the cost of the book plus the cost to grade it. And that includes shipping from my house and then the cost to ship the book back to me. I include all of that in there. I include the cost of the CGC membership, all of that. So all of that's factored into that $26.72 cost to slab it. So again, an $8 profit, nothing to get too crazy and excited about. I was hoping it was a 9.4. If I change this to 9.4, it's still 36. How about a 9.8? 152, right? Then it's a different story. But it's a 9.0. So let me enter this into cover price. So fair market value, $4. Again, I'm not trying to nickel and dime anybody, but still for 50 cents, not bad. A book I didn't have in the run. And that was something I had, I think, heard talked about on Lords of the Longbox, or I don't remember exactly where I heard it. I'm sure it was them talking about like long-term spec and everything. And they mentioned how Kevin Feige's a huge John Byrne Fantastic Four fan. So you can kind of see where maybe some of the Nathaniel Richards, Kang stuff kind of didn't really come out in the forefront of the Loki show, but you just sort of feel that some of this John Byrne Fantastic Four and even some of the Bronze Age and Copper Age X-Men stories, they're all coming. So that's why I keep buying them. All right. The next one, switching away from Fantastic Four, is Uncanny X-Men. My 3 favorite series of all time: Iron Man, Amazing Spider-Man, and X-Men / Uncanny X-Men. So anytime I get an opportunity to get near mint copies of really anything X-Men, I can't help myself. These were the books I read as a kid. I loved these. I drew these. I traced some of them. Just ate them up. Loved it. So Uncanny X-Men 185. Again, all of these listed as near mint. This one as well. And I gave this a 9.2. And there's no pressing indicator because to me, the book was just already in a shape where it couldn't be improved on. It really looks good in the bag and board, I would say. But right under here it's almost like a sliced into the book all the way through into the back. So that sort of cut into the book is what did it for me. Otherwise, it's a very, very nice, presentable copy. So this one, 9.2, X-Men 185. So this is my grade. I don't have 9.2 in here. And again, if I do this right this time, 9.2 should be 20. And I'll just update all of those. Put this in cover price, 85. So a near mint minus, purchased on October 18th, and I paid $7.50 for that. Again, I didn't pay for the 9.2. I paid for 9.4 and above, and I overpaid $3.56. So that one didn't work out. That's fine. So that's in cover price as a 9.2. Next book is X-Men 202. This is an important book. It's the Secret Wars 2 tie-in, yes. Great John Romita Jr. X-Men cover, Sentinels, Magneto, and that alternate 80s costume. So really, really great book from the mid-80s. Again, listed as near mint, and I gave this a 9.4 with, again, the ability to be pressed and improved. So that one was a hit as a 9.4. Let me add that. And this one in a 9.4 is selling for $55. Again, just to be clear, let's go find this book, X-Men 202. This is row 912 over here. And the GPA value of I went too far. GPA value of a 9.4 is $55. So in this case, the total cost for the book was $7.50 plus the cost to grade it, and you could stand to make about $20 if you sent that book in and sold it as a slab. Now, I'm not also factoring in where you sell it, right? You may sell on eBay, and there may be certain fees there. You may sell on Comic Link. There may be certain fees there. You may sell on Whatnot or Instagram, and there are fees there too, or Instagram's free, or you could sell on your YouTube channel. I don't really control that. I don't know where you're selling it. This is not really where I analyze how I sell books. I do that separately. It's a separate process. This is just if I'm walking down the street and I sell this book to somebody and they give me cash, it's roughly a $21 profit. So that was good. That ended up working out pretty well. So X-Men 202, and again, it could be pressed and moved to a 9.6, maybe 9.8. It really depends on the cleanup job, but that's why I marked those with the letter P to give that an indication that it could be. So 9.4, 18th, and I think 7.50 for this one as well from Atomic App. All right, so that one's in. All right, 3 more to go. Okay, X-Men 234, you could probably tell in the glare there, this was a huge disappointment. I gave it a 5.5. So this was a near mint book. This was listed as NM right there. 5. Yes, it could be pressed. I don't really know what it could be pressed up to, maybe a 6 or a 6.5. Just waviness at the top, lots of color breaking spine ticks, weird page folding or crunching on the front. I don't believe that can come out in a press. It's like the pages are compressed together. Just an awful, terrible copy, a disappointing copy. I mean, it's all wrinkled in here, and again, that comes out with a press. That's fine, but I mean, it's not even worth it. I thought about throwing it away, but it was my only copy. So unfortunately, it's going to get the 5.5. There's no match for, I didn't include this one either. Okay, so 5.5, let's just say 45, and that's wrong. Let's see if I can do this without the sheet. So if 4 is 45, it should be 42. There's no value for that. So in the 42nd column, it's 5.5. Again, I go left to right, greatest grade on the left, or I guess my hands are in the wrong spot. Greatest on the left, moving left to right. So 5.5 would be 42, and then 5 would be 41, 5 would be 43. 5 would be 44, and 4 is 45. So that's correct. And then I'm just kind of, I should probably have just done that all at once, but I'm doing it one book at a time as I need it. So let's put this one in. Again, disappointing. I really wanted to get a copy of that book in high grade. Thought I had it with near mint, and it was all beat up. Now it says I own one. I'm curious. And see, this is why I put it in cover price, because I didn't realize I already had this book. And I already have it in a 9.4. Well, there you go. So this is why I put my inventory in here, because I forget what I have. And I should do a better job of making note of that before I buy a bunch of stuff online. Now, if I remember right, I actually bought this book from Mile High. I wanted it in a 9.8. I didn't get it, and then I found it on Atomic and bought another copy. That's exactly so. I sort of FOMO'd myself. 1018, 650. So that's a real bummer, because it's basically not worthless. I mean, it's $1. So there's your dollar bin key right there. That's what they look like. Okay. Next one is Uncanny X-Men 317. I believe this is the first appearance of Blink. This is a character that people are speculating on and all of that. Oh, I forgot the grade. Again, listed as near mint, and I gave it an 8.0. 8.0 with the ability to be pressed, mainly because of down here, there's a giant ding, fold, impact damage all over that corner. And this reminds me of books I would get, brand new books from Midtown. That's how they came. And I remember going through those, and I'm like, is it an 8? Is it an 8.5? Is it a 9? This one has some other dents and things. Could be pressed up. Could it be pressed into a 9.8? No. Maybe 9.4, 9.6 if all of this comes out. But as it stands right now, it's an 8.0. And that's unfortunate, but that's what it is. So the 8.0 is already in here. And let me get it into cover price. It's not even listed as a key in the cover price. So raw comic value, $6.90. I have it as a very fine. But I only paid $3.50, so that's not too bad. That's a low risk, in my opinion, for a book that I think it said in a 9.8, it sells for over $100. Yeah, 9.8 was 110. So again, looking at low risk, high reward type situations, and didn't have this book, and now I do, so that was entered. Okay, so the last one, it's going to be interesting because I don't really know. Essentially, I'm not ready for this yet, but this is a variant. Long story short, I worked this out with the seller. I purchased the regular copy of X-Men 133. I think I went through this in the unboxing already, but I'll repeat it here. It is the UK variant. You can see the 12 pence plus the all color, color with the U at the top there. And not only was it the UK price variant, it was not near mint. I spent a lot of money on this book. It was not near mint, not even close. And as you can see right here, there's even a ballpoint pen check mark up there. So this was a major disappointment. This is a book that I'm going to practice pressing on. It's super wrinkly, like all over the place. So this is something, there's a fold down in here. It is color breaking, but still there's a fold. I gave it a 6.0. I mean, it's a fine copy. It's right down the middle. It was borderline 5.5 based on the top. I always look at the top, and that kind of indicates, am I dealing with a 5.5, or a 6? But super disappointed that this was the UK variant. Now, I understand the gentleman, Silver Dollar Comics, lives in the UK. But he was very gracious and very responsive when I talked to him about this, and we ended up. He did say I could return it for a full refund, but what he did is he offered to cover some of the cost. And basically promised me a discount on a future order, and we kind of worked out a deal where I was able to keep the book. So it's a lot of money for me to just eat, but with the discount, maybe a future order, I just decided to keep it. It's one of those where it's unfortunate. It was a mistake. We worked it out, and maybe I can press it. I don't know, but it's definitely disappointing. It's one of my favorite all-time X-Men issues, and uh, just just bombed. Totally whiffed on that one. So if we look at this X-Men 133, let's dig a little deeper before we add it. There's like a Marvel Legends reprint newsstand. Uh, they don't even have the UK, and you could see it wasn't listed as newsstand, so I thought I was getting the direct, and it had a raw comic average value of $63.78. I paid $59.50. That's the painful part. But my thought was I was getting this book with a shot at a 9.4 for under FMV, where the graded 9.4 had a $250 value. So that was my thought process. It just didn't work out. So this is where you have to get to know your sellers. You have to understand, the books that they have, and look overall at their scores. So let me adjust this. This is 6, and this will be column 41. Okay, so this one is named X-Men. I forgot I did that. There we go. All right. So there you have it. So that is the breakdown of the order. So average grade 7.79. So if I'm buying a collection of near mint books, and even if I take this one out, it's 8.21. Not quite near mint. You're dealing with roughly a VF type order. So that is something that, again, over time, though, you can't judge a seller by one order. Over time, you'd have to say, whether or not it's worth it. It's worth the risk. I did get some 9.4s in here. I'm going to update my value sheet so that we can see all of the values here. It's going to be tough because I'm not tracking X-Men 133 as a variant. So it's going to come across as that regular direct edition. And I'll just kind of use that as a general baseline for now until I handle variants. But the summary for this order, 10 books, 7.79. None of them were a 9.8, not even close. Some of them can be pressed. And if they are pressable and improved, I'll come back and update it after the press. Again, total of $107.02. And right now, the profit loss basically says if I slabbed all of these books as they are, and it would basically say that'd be a pretty costly CGC order if I just blindly took all of these books, threw them over to CGC, and this is what they would come back as. That's a hefty loss right there. So overall, I would say that this particular order, not great. I have ordered from Silver Dollar Comics in the past. I need to go back through those Atomic Avenue orders and start to separate them out and see if this is somebody that I want to still track in terms of books that are available. Because do I really trust them to be near mint going forward, or are they more near mint minus, very fine? That's why I do this sort of homework here. So let me just pause here and take a little bit of a break. I want to go in and update these values so we can see the final CGC values for books here. So let me go ahead and do some analysis in the background. I'll get the values, plug those in, and then we'll do a final tally and give you the summary of this order. All right, so the sheet's been updated. I got some values plugged in, and this is the final view of this order. A lot of different numbers. Let me go over it quickly here and kind of show you. And I decided once the values plugged in and I just saw what an absolute disaster of an order that was, if, again, what do I mean by that? If I took all of the books as they are, sight unseen, shipped them off to CGC, and I got the books back, uh, it would have been a $300 loss. That's exactly what this means right here. That I would have lost $300 in terms of my cost to buy the books, my cost to grade it, and then trying to sell these books. Some of them had no value at all. It would have just been an absolute awful disaster if I sold all the books slabbed at fair market value at the grades that I gave them. Again, you could press them, clean them. There's additional cost there. Is it worth it for these sorts of books? That's a whole other discussion. And so, because I didn't want it to look so awful, what I decided to do was pull in that fair market value that we've been looking at. So as books went into cover price, and I was like, let me see what this book goes for. Oh yeah, this was a couple dollars more, a couple dollars less, and so on. That's what I did. And remember too, this X-Men 133, I am pulling it as if it is a just standard regular newsstand or direct, depending on what cover price says is the regular edition. Usually they take the more common copy and make that the regular, instead of you trying to figure out, which is more rare, newsstand or direct. So again, for this one, my total cost was $60. Profit of $4 on that one. That could be argued. So again, it's not a perfect science, especially this because it's a variant. So I'll have to do this again with another order. But yeah, so this is this order with Fantastic Four 167 there right at the top. It was hidden for a moment. So it cost me $107 from just a raw book. So if I were to sell those books raw right now, assuming I would get more or less every penny that the fair market value says I should, I stand to make almost $28 in the order. But if I were to slab these, and that's kind of the point, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get high grade books, get them slabbed. I would have spent way more money acquiring the book and getting the book slabbed than if I had just kept the books or sold them raw. So this is sort of the analysis. This is the overall, I'd say, store order review. Not exactly what you're looking for or hoping for in these cases. You obviously, you don't want to have an order where if you had sent the books in for grading that you're looking to lose hundreds of dollars. And this is all part of the experiment, right? This is the experiment. Ordering books sight unseen. This is why people go to shows. They have their LCSs because they can look at the books and examine the books. I would argue that, are you looking at every book that you buy from your LCS? Are you pulling every Bronze Age book out of the bag and board? I'm sure many of you are. But do you do that at a convention? Do you start pulling off the wall books that say VF and really scrutinizing it and examining it under the light? I would argue that some of that is sight unseen, although you have a better shot. But anyway, all I can say is find places that are reputable to buy comic books from online and track the grades, track the costs, track all of it. Over time, you'll just start to see, you'll know, and I'm sure you do even without data, you know that this seller on eBay is your person that you buy from, or this online store is the one that always hooks you up, or this person on Instagram is always the one that is feeding you the best books. You'll have those relationships and everything, and that's great. I like to look at the data because it takes any emotion out of it. You might think if that person on Instagram is your friend, you might feel like the books are higher grade than they really are because you want to maintain that relationship. All of that gets thrown out the window when you just look at the data. So as nice as Silver Dollar Comics is from a interaction standpoint, friendly standpoint, being able to communicate openly and honestly, discounts and everything like that, overall, are the books really near mint? They're not. Not from this one order. I'm going to add more orders, obviously. We'll take a look at things as we go along. But this is the kind of in-depth analysis that has to be done if you're really looking to acquire books and press them, grade them, upgrade them, and get really high quality, high grade books for your collection or to sell. And because that's what you want, the highest grades, the best, cleanest copies, the most valuable books, your favorite keys. That's what we're all going for as we're building our collection. Hope you enjoy this. Hope you learned something. Please leave a comment if you'd like to see more of these, or if you have any other questions. Be happy to help answer those questions. Be happy to help you out. That's it. Thanks for watching. Happy collecting, and see you next time.